From the studios of Books in Motion in Spokane, Washington, this is Ron Varela, reading Half-Breed, the fourth book in the American Blend series by Loren Robinson. Now let's begin with Half-Breed. Chapter 1. James Genet had spent his whole life in Baltimore, except for a few years in Philadelphia to help his father Levi open up another cabinet shop. He liked the green Pennsylvania countryside, perhaps because that's where he had met his wife, Hannah. Now, in 1855, he had to move back to Baltimore. He didn't mind. He had a lot of friends there. But the business they'd sold to Mr. Miller was in default, and James knew he was the only one who could save it. He had left Baltimore on the stage with his parents, and now was returning by train with his wife and 5 children. As the train chugged into the station, spitting spurts of steam, he saw his brother standing on the platform, glancing at the windows, searching. James stepped down from the car, catching the smell of the Chesapeake on the soft breeze. He stretched his legs and waved. "Over here, Matt," he yelled. Matthew Genet grinned, waved back, hugged his older brother. "You look good, Jim." He looked at James' wife. "You do too, Hannah. And these are the kids. Let's see now. This one is Alice, right?" 12-year-old Alice beamed proudly that her uncle remembered her. It had been 5 years since he'd visited them. "And this one is Sam," he continued, looking at each. "And you're Charles, and this is Anne, and the little fella here is Wesley. Did I get you right?" They all smiled, but Wesley didn't remember his uncle. He was only 3 at the time, and had only heard about him. "I have the wagon over by the station," Matt said. "I brought the big one so we can get all your stuff on it. I had a couple cleaning ladies working in the house on the past couple of days. I'm not good at that sort of thing." James grinned. "You never were a good housekeeper. I don't suppose you're married yet?" "Confirmed bachelor, Jim. At least I haven't found anyone who'll have me." "You're 25, Matt. You're not getting younger." Matt grinned. "Looks like you're doing the job for both of us to maintain the Genet line. 5 kids. Maybe I should move to Pennsylvania." With their luggage piled on the wagon, Matt drove to the home where he and James were born and grew up. Jim looked at the large 2-story white house with brown trim, and with a stare of nostalgia. "Hasn't changed," he said, and turned to his children. "This is your new home, kids. Go look it over." 2 middle-aged colored ladies were cooking, and the table was set for dinner when all were inside. Matt introduced them as Mildred and Bess. "I rented them from Hiram Brown down the street. He owns them." James smiled at the ladies. "Dinner smells good. Thank you." After the long train ride, it was especially good for 5 hungry children. When dinner was over, James and Matt stepped out onto the long front porch and sat in the same rocking chairs Jim had used years before, sitting with his father. He lit his pipe and scanned the street. "Tell me, Matt, what happened with Joseph Miller in the cabinet shop?" Matt frowned and turned to James. "He couldn't keep his mouth shut. Most of the business was with the southern states, and he kept spouting off against slavery. Most of his customers left him." "I thought as much. I'll write to them. Shouldn't take long to get things back where they were." The children found their way outside, and after a time of exploring the yard and playing games, Alice and Sam sided up beside their father. Alice asked, "Is this where you grew up, Daddy?" James rocked, looked at them. "Yes. My father came from New Hampshire and bought this house before I was born." "Grandpa Levi? Why did he leave home?" "I guess he wanted to see new country. We still have a lot of relatives up there. His brother Wallace is in Rye. My grandfather David, too, if he's still alive." "Grandpa Levi said his grandfather fought in the Revolution." "Yes, that's right. He also fought in the French and Indian War." Hannah stepped out onto the porch. "You kids come inside now. It's late. Time to get ready for bed. You can play and explore tomorrow." There were the usual moans, but the children slowly walked back inside without much complaint. Hannah was almost as tall as her husband. She came from a Quaker family, which accounted for her simple, plain dress and plain features. However, she was a disciplinarian, which sometimes resulted in a scolding of her husband, whom she considered too lax with the children. James lost no time contacting former customers, and several days later he saw a carriage pull up in front of his shop on Charles Street. A stocky, well-dressed man in a tall, flat hat walked into the shop, smiled, and shook James' hand. "Good to see you."